Making a move to another state can be a scary thing. It can also be a nerve-wracking thing. If you have never lived in a state before, like right here in Southeast Michigan, you might have no idea on what you are looking for, what cities are a good fit for your family, what cities are a bad fit for your family, and overall, you might just be confused about the moving process. Well, in today's video, I want to go over the 5 things that you should be addressing and really thinking about when relocating here to Southeast Michigan. I want to kind of explain those to kind of help narrow it down to what might be some good areas based on that criteria for you and your family to make a move to. And if you find this video helpful, if you get some useful information out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. I post videos just like this every single week, helping you and your family relocate right here to the beautiful Southeast Michigan. And I'm also a full-time real estate agent. I help people move from all over the country right here to Southeast Michigan. So if you need any help with your move, make sure to call, text, email, days, nights, weekends, whenever is best for you. So we are here looking at a map of Southeast Michigan. I really enjoy these map videos. It kind of really breaks it down, gives you a visual idea of what Southeast Michigan is like, and it's just really easier to explain. But as I said, I'm going to go over 5 criteria you should be thinking of when you're moving here to Southeast Michigan. And that first criteria you're going to really want to break down is traffic and commute. Especially if you're going to be working, maybe you're relocating here for a job and you're going to be working in like downtown Detroit, that area, you're going to really want to move to an area where the traffic and commute isn't going to be too long or too bad. So, of course, you got Detroit right here. And then there's really going to be 3 major highways you're going to be taking if you are driving to Detroit on a daily basis. That's going to be I-94 right here. It goes all the way up kind of that southeast coast of the state. You're going to have I-75, which is probably the most known, most prominent, and actually the busiest highway here in Southeast Michigan. It kind of goes like that. And then you're going to have 696, which goes kind of westwards, kind of like that. So those are going to be your 3 major highways. Now, if traffic's not really an issue for you, you don't really care, then pretty much any of these cities you see here in this general area where these red lines are would be a perfect fit for you and your family in regards to your commute to Detroit. If you want to kind of avoid that traffic, I would kind of limit your search in these areas down I-75 here. So cities in this general area, you would be taking I-75 for. And these cities that you see here in this red circle are all pretty much the main access points to I-75. Um, if you are gonna be going to downtown Detroit a lot, maybe for work, maybe you just like the city and you want to explore it, but you want to avoid that early morning and late evening traffic, then these cities might not be the best fit, as you're gonna be taking I-75 almost constantly, and traffic can get pretty bad in those areas at that time. Here on 696 though, and here on I-94, over on that area, you of course still get some traffic because it's the highway, but for the most part, you can be in and out pretty quickly. So really, any of the cities that you see, any of the cities you really see up here in that red circle, you would be taking I-94 for. And then in this area over here, you would most likely be taking 696 for. Now, in regards to the commute times, pretty much anywhere you see in this red area at all, you're going to be making a commute of between I mean, of course, if you're closer down here to Detroit, you can get to Detroit in about 20 minutes. But anywhere you go, kind of up in this area, up this area, up this area, all going to be about a 30 to 40-minute drive to Detroit. So it's nothing too bad. Really, what really adds on to that time is the traffic. So really knowing which cities are near these major highways are going to be what's really, really crucial. Again, just quick breakdown. I-75, the big cities kind of that are really going to be near I-75, kind of this area right here. If you're in that area, you're going to really be taking I-75 quite a lot. Boom and boom. So these are all beautiful cities. They have beautiful homes, vibrant things to do, a lot of history behind them. But if you want to avoid that traffic, then you might want to avoid those areas. More in this area, such as Macomb, Shelby Township, Chesterfield, New Baltimore, Clinton Township, Fraser, St. Clair Shores, is all going to be I-94. It's kind of lesser of a traffic, and just like these cities, great cities to be living in. And then here on 696, got like Farmington Hills, Livonia, Northville, and Plymouth, Novi. Areas like that are going to be that 696. Same thing as I-94. Traffic won't be too bad. So those would be good cities to live in as well in regards to traffic. The next thing you are going to want to address is the proximity to Detroit. Now, whether you want to be super close to Detroit or super far to Detroit, that's for your own personal reasons. But if you want to be super close to Detroit, maybe it's for jobs, maybe it's for just liking the city. You want to explore the rich history behind the city of Detroit. You want to look at the museums, go to the Detroit sporting events. Then you're going to want to keep that commute as short as possible. And to do that, I would really keep it in this general area. If you keep it to all of these cities here in this red area, you're going to have a pretty quick commute, no more than about 30 minutes here to Detroit, Michigan. You can find some great homes. There's some communities that are a little more rural. So if you want some more land, for example, with your house, you can find that. If you want more urban city, if you want, big apartment buildings, big skyscrapers, then you can also find that in those areas as well. Something about Southeast Michigan is that there's a lot of different homes and a lot of different cities. Like Troy is almost like a miniature Detroit in terms of just the skyscrapers and the big buildings they have there. But it's not even like right next to Detroit. It's one of the furthest cities in this red circle from it. But there's a lot of different lives you can live in these cities, a lot of different things to do. But if you want that closer proximity to Detroit, anything you see in this red circle would be good. If you want something a little further from Detroit, maybe you're not going to be going to Detroit nearly as much, but maybe you still want to be in the general area in case you want to go catch a Tigers game or something down here. You can really stick to these areas up here, up there, those areas in that circle up there. Right now it's a lot of grass. So if you really want land, like if you have dirt bikes, if you like farming, stuff like that, these areas you're gonna have the opportunity for a lot of that. A lot of open land up here, but there's also cities up here. Rochester and Rochester Hills have nice little cute cities, those little cities where you just walk down the street. Macomb is right next to Hall Road. Shelby Township is right next to Hall Road. Chesterfield and New Baltimore are right next to Hall Road, which Hall Road is kind of just a miniature highway, a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, a lot of shopping centers. So being up here doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I'm just on a bunch of farmland, but just the general idea of it's a little more open, a little more spacious up here. It's not as much of that very, very urban skyscraper city type life. So if that's kind of the life you want to live, then any of these cities you see here in this red circle might be a good fit. Next thing I wanted to address, and this one's kind of self-explanatory, is going to be population density. So the cities that have a bigger population, cities that have a lower population. Of course, Detroit is going to have a pretty big population. Warren, big population. Sterling Heights, Troy, Farmington Hills, kind of all of this general area you see down here. These are pretty big populations. Up here, I'm just kind of circling the area that have a bigger population. Those are kind of the main ones right there. Pretty much any of these really Metro Detroit areas. So you'll learn this as you live in Michigan, as you do some more research on it. But this is all Metro Detroit. You have the city of Detroit, and then you have all these cities surrounding it, which is all the Metro Detroit area. All of this Metro Detroit area is going to be pretty populated. So you're going to have neighbors. You're going to be talking to neighbors. You're going to be meeting new people. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, you can kind of stay isolated in your home and everything. But for the most part, you're going to have neighbors who are going to come over. You're going to chat with them. That's what you're going to get all in this area. The only time that you're going to really get more rural, where you can actually get like a mile away from some neighbors and everything, if that's the life you want to live, it's really all this grass area you see up there and then up here as well. Those big circles, they're not as close in proximity to the city of Detroit. As a result, there's not as many people living there. But a con of that is if you ever do want to go to Detroit, you're going to be having like an hour plus drive to get to the city of Detroit, but if you are in any of these cities here, you're going to be about 25 to 40 minutes. So you kind of have to really think about that, talk about it with your family, and kind of make that decision for yourself. But that's just the general idea of where you're going to have higher populations and lesser populations. Next thing you are going to want to address is the cost of living and home prices. Now, the current real estate market, pretty much all around the country, housing prices are very high everywhere. But here in Michigan, there is some areas you can find where you can get homes for a little cheaper. So first of all, the areas that you're going to be able to get homes for a little cheaper, areas such as Warren, Fraser, Southfield, Royal Oak, and Ferndale, even Sterling Heights and Clinton Township, you can get a little bit cheaper. Um, Farmington Hills as well. There's a few more. If I really went into depth, I could get it, but this gives you a general idea of the area. The cities that are in a closer proximity to Detroit, you're often going to be able to find some cheaper home prices. When you get to Sterling Heights and Clinton Township up here, some homes start getting to like 400,000, even 500,000 up here, but you can definitely find homes in the mid 200s, low 300s here in these areas. And then here in like Farmington Hills, Southfield, Royal Oak, Warren, Fraser, Ferndale, you're going to be able to find homes there for that mid 200s range if that's the budget you're looking for. If you have a bigger budget, you're looking to spend a little more, I'll clear those out. Birmingham and Bloomfield, very expensive cities. You're going to have homes starting there at 700, 800,000. Same thing in Troy. It's not quite as expensive as Bloomfield Hills and Birmingham, but expect to have at least 500,000 if you're looking to buy a home here in Troy. Rochester and Rochester Hills can get pretty expensive as well. Shelby Township can get expensive. Macomb can get expensive. And then New Baltimore and Chesterfield can get expensive pretty much just because of that proximity to Lake St. Clair here. But there's nothing wrong with all of these areas. I have been to all of these areas. I've sold homes in all of these areas. I've visited and gone to the city in all of these areas. They're all fantastic places to be. Each has their own different, unique culture, but the beauty of Michigan and Southeast Michigan is learning about the different cultures, trying different foods. It's a very beautiful area to be. But if you have that bigger budget, you want to live a little more northwards, kind of these cities in this general area are going to be where you can find that. Auburn Hills as well is going to be one of those. And the last thing that I really wanted to address that you really also need to be thinking of is you're going to want to address your interests and what you're really looking for out of your community in your home. Sure, the traffic, the commute, the cost of living, that's all very important when you're making a move here, but you also want to be able to enjoy the area on where you're living. So, for example, if you like boating, like if you like going on boats, if you like jet skis, if you really like that lake life, all of these cities you see around here are all really easily accessible right here to Lake St. Clair. It's not one of our big Great Lakes, but it's a prominent lake. A lot of people go all the time. And if you like that life, of that boating life, that jet ski life, kind of just being on the water in the summers here in Michigan, you might want to be taking a look at some of these cities in that circle there. If you like the more rural life, if you like farming, if you like, going outside and hitting baseballs, throwing a football around, riding dirt bikes, if you like hunting, then these big grass areas are going to be a better fit for you. Big open areas, there's some little mini private lakes and stuff there, creeks for fishing, a lot of open land to, as I said, get your farming done, ride dirt bikes, whatever you want to do. And that area is going to be where you're going to really be able to find a lot of those areas. So, if that's the type of lifestyle you like to live, maybe think about some of the areas in this circle here. If you like kind of the more urban life, big buildings, lots to do, really any of these cities along Hall Road here are going to be where you're going to be looking for. So, really anything you see in this circle here would all be great areas. Birmingham, Rochester, they have those little cities where it's like all those buildings packed together, but it's like a little street. You walk down the street, they have little mom and pop shops, little unique restaurants, little small restaurants. You can find those here in Birmingham. You can find those in Rochester, Rochester Hills. Hall Road is here, so there's a lot of restaurants. Sterling Heights, easily accessible from Hall Road. Shelby Township, Chesterfield, Macomb, Washington, all easily available and easily connected here to Hall Road. If you like the big skyscrapers, like the skyscrapers you'll see in Detroit, Troy is kind of like a mini Detroit with those skyscrapers. So if you like that city life, if you like being in close proximity to a lot of restaurants, a lot of cities, this area is going to be really good. Not as close to Hall Road, but they are still big, big cities. Anything you see in this area, they're also a little bit of a closer proximity to Detroit. So you can easily get to Detroit in 20, 25 minutes to go spend a Friday, Saturday night there. There's just a lot of home options when moving to Michigan here. But as I said, there's a lot about Michigan, a lot that makes Southeast Michigan very unique. You really have to do your research here on the area to really understand what area is going to fit you and your family and your interests best. If you want more information on a specific area, shoot me a text, an email, a call. I can look into that and give you more proper information on those areas. And this is more of just a general guideline, general knowledge here. But that's all I had. If you like these map videos, you like these types of videos, make sure to hit that video right there above me. I went over the entire guide you're going to need to know before moving to Michigan in that one. So make sure to check that one out.